Hi, I'm Jack and welcome back to Real Opinions. This is another video from the London Film Festival. I know there are a lot, it's probably like half of my reviews on this channel are now probably from just this festival, but I did see a lot of films. If you want to see any of the others that I kind of covered, I'm sure there's a link down in the description or somewhere on the screen. However, in this video, it's another kind of collective video where I'm talking about 3 different films. I'm going to be talking about Don't Call Me Son, Snowden, and Birth of a Nation. So first off is Don't Call Me Son, which for the majority was my favourite film out of this kind of 3 film selection that I've got. It's a Spanish? Portuguese, maybe? I mean, I didn't pick up the I didn't know the language going in, so sorry. But it's about a kind of rebellious teenager who lives with his mum and his sister, who's just going through kind of just the very classic, like, movie bad boy teenage drama, where taking drugs, sleeping with girls, and just generally being rebellious. Until he gets called into the school office one day, and it finds that he has, basically something has come up about his past, which then throws his family life into an imbalance, basically. It's kind of hard to describe without going into spoilers, because I think it's best to watch this film without knowing anything. However, well, I wouldn't actually recommend you watch this film, despite me saying that I enjoyed it the most, and the reason is that so the bits that you get are very enjoyable. Like, I thought all the acting was really great, I thought the writing was great, they all felt like really real characters interacting, and while there wasn't a lot of plot, there was still like an underlying plot and a reason to do this and a reason to do that, and there was momentum in it, so it wasn't just a stagnant people talking film, but it was, but what I liked it for wasn't the plot, I liked it for just the characters talking to each other and just how they would react to one another, just like regular people, just realistically, and so that's what I'd say is the key aspect of this film. And if it continued like that, then it would have been a 7 out of 10. However, I'll kind of set the scene in that for me it was like it was coming to the end of the second act of the film. Like, not the lowest of the lowest points, but it was a point where so many questions had been asked about the plot. They all seemed to have this direction where they were heading. It all looked like it was going to tie up nicely. And these 2 characters have a conversation which isn't a very grand conversation or a very dramatic conversation. And then the screen fades to black, and I just assume that's a transition, and then the credits come up the screen. And I haven't had a cinema experience like it, because no one in the cinema thought that was going to be the end of the film. I heard people audibly going, "What? What is this? Like, is that it?" I heard someone say, "Is that it?" Because it feels like 2/3 of a film, and I can't review a film, even though I liked it. I can't review something unfinished. It felt like they filmed 2/3 of this, like they were filming sequentially, and then just the budget just dropped through, and they thought, like, well, we've got 2/3 of a film here, we can't just do nothing with it, let's just push it out and see if we can make some of the money back. Like, it felt that sudden a change, and like I said, throughout all of this, it would have been a 7 out of 10 quality. It's 7 out of 10 quality, it's just there's 2/3 of it, so that goes down to 4 out of 10. That's my logic for it. I know you can't just apply maths to film just that easily, but that's my reasoning for it, because I did not feel like I got a full film experience out of this. I felt like I got 2/3 of what could be a good film, and that's it. And there were so many questions left unanswered that they definitely gave hints and suggestion that they were going to answer them. It's not like the point where it ended was a good point to round off anyway. It's not like I could have gone, well, that's fine, I see what you rounded off there. No. There were so many things that were left, and there were so many, like, plot threads and characters which were just left hanging. Anyway, I'm talking too much about this film, but there really isn't that much to talk about. But 4 out of 10 could have been good. Next film is Snowden, and Snowden I genuinely really enjoyed Snowden, and not because it's great, because it's bad. Snowden, you probably already know the story by now because it's in the news. It's the biopic of Edward Snowden, depending on who you ask, the traitor, whistleblower. It kind of follows and the film is an intercut series between him in his hotel room in Hong Kong just before he's about to do the big leak of information, so him talking to all the journalists and all of that. And then throughout, it kind of has interspersed moments of him going through his NSA career to working for the FBI, working for different companies, and how he eventually steals the information and goes on. Yeah, I don't have that much to talk about in this film, because it's trying to tackle a really quite deep and interesting political topic that we're still talking about today. I mean, Snowden is still in Russia. Like, he's not left Russia still, as of the time of recording. And so it's a hard topic to talk about. And this is such a surface level film that it's so... I mean, it gets across the basic information. If you took your gran to go see this, she's like, oh, that's what it is. I mean, she won't understand the computers probably all the way through, but I mean, she gets it gets across the idea of what the US government was doing, how it was breaking privacy laws, and how she won't understand the computers probably all the way through, but I mean, she gets it gets across the idea of what the US government was doing, how it was breaking privacy laws, and what he did himself. And throughout all of this, it's with kind of cheesy editing, bad acting, it's kind of... Throughout all of it, I'd say it's kind of bad but good acting from everyone except for Shailene Lee Woodley, who's just bad acting. I was kind of hopeful for her for a few projects that she's been doing, but every single one that I've seen her in has been a bad film, and I can't make excuses for her anymore. And she was the worst actor in this film. If you're looking for a silly, fun time, I'd watch this. It had me laughing throughout, and not in a mean way. Just I was just enjoying it. It wasn't mean spirited. However, yeah, there is. If you kind of want to look up a summary of how blunt this film is, I'd go look up the end credits song called "Whistleblower," and it's so blunt and on the nose and that's just the tone. It rounds off the tone of the film perfectly, and it felt almost like a parody at the end of the film, and I really liked that. In fact, I think I want to watch it again just because I did have a genuine fun time with it. And Nicolas Cage is in it. That might sell it for a few people. 5 out of 10 for that one. Which brings me on to the final one, which is Birth of a Nation. And I went into this hearing from all of the critics at the festival, hearing it's terrible, it's awful, bad. And so I went to go see it, and I came out of it actually thinking, that wasn't bad at all. I thought that was pretty good. And over time, I've just come to realise that it was that everyone was just overhyping how bad it was, and that it's really just a very, very average film. It's kind of it's been caught up in the critical echo chamber, I suppose, from its beginning, where it got all positive, all masterpiece reviews, to suddenly it flipping to become the exact opposite. It's awful, it's a terrible film. And really, the truth is, it's somewhere in the middle. It's just bland, it's forgettable, which it will be. It will be forgotten. So what's the story anyway? The story is about Nate Parker, a kind of a preacher in slave-era America, and it's about his kind of Braveheart-style uprising, which is the film that it's compared to most, of the slaves against their owners. It's a halfway point between Django and 12 Years a Slave, in that it's kind of going for the artistic side of 12 Years a Slave, which it doesn't do as well as 12 Years a Slave, and it's going for the violence of Django, which it doesn't do as well as Django. And so you're just left with this fine thing. I went into it without knowing all the drama surrounding the film, so I'm not including that in my review. If that is a concern to you, the drama surrounding it, just don't go see the film. Just don't even talk about it, and that's fine. I will say that without knowing that drama, I did find that the women characters in the film were a bit strangely portrayed. There are some dream sequences in this film, which are, like I said, trying to be artistic, really bad, really just badly shot. I thought the rest of this film, the set design was really great, actually. I thought the cinematography for the most part was really great, except for these awful dream sequences where it just suddenly becomes like a high school play, almost, like it's that bad. Acting, I thought, was fine from a lot of people, except for Nate Parker, who occasionally overacted. I mean, I don't typically say overacting that much in film reviews, but it was just like it felt very forced, the amount of acting, in air quotes. Yeah, I mean, it's just there are much better films this year. There are much better films just covering the topic that it is covering. I mean, not just his life, Nate Parker's life, but it's a 5 out of 10 film, maybe a 4 out of 10 if I had to watch it again. I feel like I would, but again, I came into it thinking it was going to be really, truly awful, and I came out with an experience that wasn't that, and so kind of biased reverse, I suppose. So that's my review of Don't Call Me Son, Snowden, and Birth of a Nation. If you want to see any others from the festival, please click below, or and if there's any other films you want us to review, just write in the comments, or just get in touch.